KRM to news time, but it's now 7:14. Let's get a check of sports with Rick Couri.
Well, the Masters was what everybody talked about yesterday, because really for a few hours around Tulsa and probably around the country, things just kind of shut down as people watched this. If you were watching Twitter and Facebook, or of course the television as well, you saw so much about this. Everybody was talking about it, and when it was all over, Charles Schwartzel was the winner, and that's how you say his first name, Charles, a brand new green jacket put on him, of course, by Phil Mickelson, last year's winner.
I'm Rick Couri from AM 740 and FM 102.3 News Talk KRMG. I'm the sports director there and the morning show co-host. I'm also the color analyst for the University of Tulsa football and basketball. I'm the play-by-play guy for Tulsa Talons football, and I'm a PADI scuba instructor on the weekend in my slight spare time. So how did all this start? Well, by accident, actually. I was playing in a benefit soccer game as a fan for the Tulsa Roughnecks back in 1982 with a guy named Joe Riddle. And Joe used to host an old-time radio show, still does here in town. At the time, it was on KRMG, and I used to listen to it, and I said to him, man, I'm a big fan of that show. And he said, really, you want a job? And I thought he was kidding. And he said, no, do you want a job, really? And I said, well, I guess. At the time, I was working in a photo warehouse. I mean, they did photo supplies and things like that in this warehouse. And so for 6 months, I worked 10 at night until 6 in the morning at KRMG. And I'd go back to work noon to 6 at the warehouse and kind of sleep in between until about 7 months into it, they elevated me to full-time status. And I was just basically running the board. For those in the business, a board operator just means you're pushing buttons for somebody else's program. And of course, overnight, it's somebody somewhere else. I think it was America Overnight out of Dallas and that kind of thing. And so all I did was push the buttons and run the commercials and things. And actually, the very first night, I had no idea. I was just putting these sound effects in and just pushing the buttons so I could listen to them. Had no idea. I was actually playing them on the radio. And our morning show host walked in at 5 a.m. and he walked up to me and he said, who are you? And I said, well, I'm the new overnight guy. And he said, well, stop doing that. It sounds stupid. And about a year and a half later, a lady named Ann Williams asked me to be her afternoon producer. I moved into doing that, and the show that followed that was the sports talk show. And I was producing that as well. And of course, that's always been a great interest of mine. And so eventually that moved into doing afternoon sports as well, and then eventually became the sports line host as well, and then eventually the sports director, and led me to where I am now, which is just everywhere, basically. Boy, how has it changed? Well, first of all, take a look at the venues downtown. Look at the BOK Center, look at One Oak Field. I mean, there was a time here when there just wasn't a whole lot to do sports-wise. Yes, the University of Tulsa was here and ORU was here, and they've had great moments in basketball and TU and football too. But people here tended to leave here for sports, to go to OSU or to go to OU or that kind of thing, or to drive up to see the Cardinals. Take a look downtown at what we have now. Look at the facilities. Look at the interest that we have. Some of the great championship events Southern Hills has hosted, the old BOK tennis tournaments that we used to have over at Shadow Mountain that were great events. It has really kind of evolved that way. But this is still, to this day, a participatory sports city. We love to play golf and play softball and go to our kids' soccer tournaments and those kinds of things, more so than even showing up at events, although that has really come a long way here. I'm not sure that what I've done has changed anything. I think we've kind of evolved, because in this business, if you don't grow, evolve, and kind of redesign yourself every day, you're not going to be successful. And there was a time when all you did was sit and you would give sports scores on the air, and that was considered a sportscast, and then it was for stuff around the country, and then we became a little more in-depth locally about doing local things. And I think lately the big deal has been social media, the impact that has had, and it was something that I was able to jump on board early, and it's really completely because of my co-host in the morning, Joe Kelly. The change of radio, for instance, we're not a radio station anymore, we're a media outlet. So we're a newspaper, we're a TV station, we're a radio station, we're an online broadcast, we're all those things. And about a year and a half ago, I began viewing it that way and making sure that everything we did was not just done in radio form, but it had video with it, it had stories with it, it had the kind of deep content you can get in a newspaper with it, and then doing creative and separate things for online broadcast. To me, there is nothing like a college sporting event. I'm a stadium geek. I love to go to the stadiums 3, 4, 5 hours early before broadcast, and because I work with Bruce Howard, I get that opportunity because he does that anyway. So I feel incredibly blessed by what I've been able to do. Just for whatever reason, God said, this is what you can do and this is where I want you to do it. And I've been able to do that. I feel incredibly blessed because, through that, I was able to find the doctors that help with my daughter. She's had 13 different brain tumor surgeries, and this last one was incredibly dangerous. But through some coaches that I know, I was able to find the surgeons at Duke University that did that surgery. Could not have happened without being where I was and being a part of the University of Tulsa. someone getting into this, well, you better be ready to change every day. You've got to be ready every day to reinvent yourself. You're going to have to do things differently every day. And when someone comes to you with a new idea, it's really easy to go, that's not the way we do it. Well, today it is. Tomorrow it's going to be different. The day after that's going to be different. The way we do it is now different every day. You got to be able to do that. And for my future, I hope it's continuing doing what I'm doing, teaching scuba diving, which I do and love to do, those kinds of things. But who knows? I mean, it could be anywhere, it could be any place. But as long as I'm making people happy and make them smile, and I can pay the bills and make sure that my family's taken care of, I'll take it.